On Good Friday, we hear one of the most poignant expressions of God's love for us and His desire for our salvation. As Jesus hung on the cross, He said, "I thirst." What's going to be our response to His request? The Gospel tells us that the soldiers gave Him vinegar to drink. I'm sure you don't want to give Jesus vinegar. You want to respond with your heart and your soul, but still, there might be things that are holding us back. This is why it's important to prepare ourselves during these weeks before Holy Week so that we can give Jesus a true response when He asks us to give Him our whole heart. The Gospel of John in chapter 4 presents a scene where Jesus also asks for a drink. He's tired from the journey and he stops at the well of Sychar. There, he meets a Samaritan woman and he asks her for a drink. So first of all, we have Jesus and he asks the woman, the Samaritan woman, for a drink. What's her response? She kind of doubts. How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan, for a drink? We can have a similar response. How is it possible that God Himself in Jesus, He wants me, He wants something from me? He who has everything, God Himself doesn't need anything. So our praise, our love doesn't add anything to Him. But still, He thirsts for us. He thirsts for our love. He wants our salvation. So what can hold you, what can hold me back from giving Jesus what He's asking for? Do we think that we are not enough? So that's the first point I would like you to consider. Is there any resistance in your heart to respond to Jesus' request? I thirst for you. The second thing we may want to consider is the Samaritan's response when Jesus Himself tells her that He has something to offer. In fact, He has a gift. He has living water which can satisfy her thirst forever. Jesus, as we see in the Gospel, is the source of life, the only love that can fully satisfy us because our hearts have been made for Him. Still, we can be like the Samaritan woman and tell the Lord, you don't have a bucket. Is God going to be enough for my heart? When Jesus asks us to give Himself something, we become suspicious, Is this going to take something from me? Do I have to renounce things? And is God going to be enough? We might be going around when we live our lives or even when we go to prayer. So we go with our water jar like the Samaritan woman and we kind of calculate, what do I need to ask the Lord? What is He going to give to me? Is it going to fill up my jar? So we are trying to control, and still, even though we want to believe, there is some resistance in our heart, some incredulity that the Lord's love can be enough to satisfy our hearts so that we can not only love Him, but love each other with the love He has put in our hearts. The third aspect I'd like you to consider is what we see in this process is how little by little the Samaritan woman begins to lower her defenses. Okay, she had some resistance, she had some incredulity, but as Jesus reveals to her her truth, the truth of her life in love, she opens up. And something incredible, the miracle that we all need in our own lives happens. This woman was afraid of other people. She was avoiding them because she had had 5 husbands. And she didn't want to meet the other women at the well. The well was a normal place where women would meet to chat and to exchange news. But this woman comes, she goes to the well at the hottest time of the day to avoid everyone. At the end of this scene in the gospel, we see her doing the opposite. She's running toward the people to tell everybody, this person has told me everything I've done. Can he be the Messiah? So that's the opposite movement that we sometimes find in our hearts. It's not anymore incredulity, it's not anymore resistance or fear before God or before others, but the opposite. We see her now, the living water is in her heart. And she can not only satisfy Jesus' thirst for her faith, for her love, but she can go to others to satisfy their thirst, because now she has the living water, the love of Christ within her. When we give to God the love He Himself has put in our hearts, we discover true peace, true joy, true freedom, because our life is not anymore about seeing if our glass is half full or half empty. We can do like the Samaritan woman. We can leave our water jar at the well. We are not afraid anymore of any kind of thirst. We don't have to be controlling things. We don't have to be consuming things or people, because we have discovered that the Lord is enough. And that just as we are weak sinners, we are enough for the Lord. He just thirsts for you. Let's prepare our hearts, praying together with the church, so that we can stand at the foot of the cross with Mary and the other women, with the beloved disciple, and quench the thirst that the Lord has for us. If you have enjoyed this video, if you think it can benefit others, I ask you to like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Help us to share and spread the good news of the gospel.